In the story you're about to see, a North Texas man was basically given no hope of life after a car crash nearly killed him. But he did survive, and he's now helping others cope with traumatic brain injuries. Don Wall reports for us.
Nice job.
For the first time in 2 years, Michael Black, known as the Bean, takes a few steps backwards, which is a huge step forward.
All legs. Nice. Not forward. Woo.
2 years ago in Florida, Michael was thrown from his car, landed on his head, and suffered a traumatic brain injury. His parents were told he wouldn't make it through the night. He was in a coma for 6 weeks. But through daily therapy and a tremendous attitude, he continues to make good progress.
He was told things like, you're going to be a vegetable the rest of your life, and he has blown any and all statements like that out of the water.
Eventually, he was able to go back to the trauma center where he was first treated.
Really, they gave us no hope at the time. So to see him walk in and to see him where he is today, he truly is a miracle. But there's been a lot of angels and help along the way to get him here.
How do you keep smiling through something like this?
I don't really know, but it's just I got an attitude that I'm going to get better. Things are going to get better. I've already been through the worst hump you can go to.
Michael has been treated extensively here in North Texas, even getting oxygen therapy at the hyperbaric centers of Texas. And while he struggles with his motor skills, the Bean's mind is just as good as ever. And so he decided, with his mother's help, to build a website for other people suffering traumatic brain injuries. It's called Trimunity. It's like Facebook, and more than 1,000 people have signed up to chat.
That's why they have, like, their friends or something will sign up and find comfort talking to people that have been through the same thing, that are still living and survived.
Every day, Michael undergoes more grueling physical therapy, and every day he talks with others who are trying to recover from their traumatic brain injuries. He offers comfort and advice.
Just don't
Michael and his mom, Bernadette, are here, and we'll be talking to them next when the broadcast returns.
Ram Truck Month has something that Ford and Chevy Truck Month.
To the broadcast, you know, before we break, we introduced you to Michael and Bernadette Coleman, who are on a crusade to raise awareness of traumatic brain injuries. Welcome to the show, both of you. And also, I want to introduce you to Dr. Bison, who has been actively involved with Michael and Bernadette.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
How did you all begin your journey together?
Well, part of Mike's recovery was done at Pate Rehab up in Anna, Texas, and Dr. Bison is the program director there. So she's been involved in his recovery from early on.
Now that's interesting that you were in Anna, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
What's the population of Anna?
Not many, because
I thought, what? There's a center up there that specializes.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful center. It's a big ranch.
It's a ranch environment?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have horses, so they have therapy, you know, with the horses, and they have people living with traumatic brain injury there. It's a live-in center, and it's a beautiful piece of property. It's like you're just driving down this dirt road, and all of a sudden it's like, wow.
I can't believe that. I want to ask this, because in the film that, what's his name? Don Wall. When Don Wall did this film, he talked about how you just wouldn't give up, Michael. You just decided that you were going to make something of this. And why? What was the driving force that made you not give up?
Just wanting to get back to my family and friends, normal.
Your speech was not it wasn't harmed at all, was it?
Well, he did have to learn to speak again. In the very beginning, when he started to talk, his mouth would move, but nothing would come out. So it was very quiet. So he was talking, he thought he was talking, but he wasn't talking.
Did the oxygen therapy help your voice?
No,
not really.
Yeah, it was, he had his full voice back before he started the oxygen therapy, but it did help with his muscular and his sleep. He had a lot of sleep deprivation, so that kind of helped with it. And just the healing, just the overall, I believe the oxygen, being that much oxygen being forced into your body, just, I mean, you can't help it.
Yes. I'm curious, how many patients are you seeing now, Dr. Bison?
In our program, we have census varies, but generally up to about 140, 150 patients.
Wow. Now, would you say Michael is a medical miracle? Because looking at him now after hearing his story, I think probably not only us but viewers are going, oh my goodness, like you were so blessed to be alive, and you were so blessed with the progress that you've made.
Yes, most definitely, and we see miracles all the time. And the most fascinating thing about the brain is that, you know, it controls everything that you do. And so, I mean, the thing, we can't predict a lot of times exactly how a person is going to progress. And so sometimes we think, oh, you know, I mean, he had a very severe brain injury, and look at him now. I mean, he can.
I was in a wheelchair. And I dropped the wheelchair, and I used a walker. Now I'm using this cane.
It's amazing. And medically, everybody said, I'm sorry, but there's probably no hope.
Oh, at the very beginning, that's all we heard. And we were looking for hope, because, you know, you see your son laying in a hospital bed with covered in tubes and a cooling blanket, and they hadn't even wiped the blood off, you know, of his face. And I walked in, and the first thing I said to the doctors, well, you know, what? Well, where are we going from here? And it's, I don't know, time will tell. You know, we have to wait and see. No good news at all. At the third day, they pulled us aside and told us we should just consider letting him go.
I can't believe that, and you didn't.
Oh, no. Well, we started talking to other people who were going through what we were going through.
And that's kind of what Trimunity does.
Yeah. So when we heard, we started hearing those stories almost immediately. People would come up and say, don't worry, you know, my son was in a car accident, and, you know, 5 years ago, and he's getting married next month. Or my daughter is back in school after her traumatic brain injury. And these little stories of hope kind of kept us going.
And so now you started a website called Trimunity, where everyone can kind of come together and share their stories and have a support group. So tell us how that's changed you and how you feel like it's changed others.
It's really good for people because it's like a Facebook, but it's for people with injuries. Pretty good.
Basically what Trimunity is, it's a place to go to share your stories of hope and encouragement with other people who need hope and encouragement, who are going through the same things that you're going through. And there's people on there that are at different stages of their recovery. So we have quite a few people with traumatic brain injury, and fairly common we hear, thank God I found this site, because no one else understands what I'm going through.
I think it's wonderful.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Where is most of your inspiration coming from now, Bernadette? Where is it coming from for you?
Well, I think a lot of it comes from Mike. First of all, just seeing how he's recovered. It's been a long road. It's been almost 2 years. There were some very, very dark times, but you know, he has such a great attitude about his recovery. He makes us laugh all the time, every day. I said, and I always say this, that I think that the fall on his head kind of knocked some fun into him, because we like him better now, I think, than we did before.
Oh, that's very funny.
I hate that I'm laughing at that.
But yeah, he's a big inspiration. The miracle people along the way. There's, I mean, just from day one when we were trying to get down to Orlando, this accident happened in Orlando, and we had to fly down there. There was no flights out, but we went to the hospital first thing in the morning after we got the call at 6:30, and Spirit Airlines heard about
and they
why
heard
we're there,
and helped.
and they offered two people to get off the flight, and we got on, and we were there first thing in the morning. And that's just the beginning of many miracles along the way.
We want to thank you for coming in and showing others, and I've got to tell you something that makes me think. I know that many times in our lives and our loved ones, we are called when a brain injury happens and somebody says, you need to let them go. You know what I'm saying? You have to think about that
hard
now
about it.
That I've met you and Michael. You can learn more about all of this by visiting trimunity.com. Lisa, what's happening over in the kitchen?